Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have terrible luck for the next week. When you decide to take up a career as a mixed martial arts fighter, you have the potential to be immortalized with some amazing feats. A thrilling knockout is a roaring comeback, best of all, a world championship victory. All things which fighters strive to achieve to reach immortality in the eyes of MMA fans. And while it sounds wonderful, it obviously isn't quite in the cards for everybody. After all, if everybody was capable of getting these tremendous accomplishments, then they wouldn't be so great anymore. You need just as much failure and foolishness in the sport to complement those fantastic successes, and that's why we're here today. To remember those instances in MMA where a fighter did or said something that just made you shake your head in disbelief, or maybe even made you giggle a little bit like a schoolgirl at the same time. So without any further ado, here are the 15 most embarrassing moments in MMA history. Number 15. Chuck Liddell gets knocked out. If anything could be learned from decades of combat sports, is that a championship fighter's life can be pretty hectic. Training friends and the most stressful of all media all take a toll on you, and you make you feel drained, as the Iceman Chuck Liddell found out on his Good Morning Texas interview in 2007. Appearing to promote the movie 300, Liddell had been diagnosed with pneumonia and hopped up on a sleeping pill and Nyquil. For those of you who don't know, Nyquil is medicine for cold and flu and is known to cause drowsiness. Clearly, Liddell should have known better. Anyway, in no shape to give an interview, Liddell slurred through his answers and had the host look extremely concerned about the health of the champ. While everything was fine with Liddell, it almost looked like the medicine had him knocked out the whole time. Before moving to the next number, we just want small favor from you. Like and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get 1 week good luck for you. Try this, it really worked. Number 14. David Gardner says hello. If we were still living in the days where a pure grappler could fight a pure striker, Shinya Oiki may have been a pound-for-pound legend. His frighteningly good groundwork and flair for dramatic submission make him a tall order for any man, and David Gardner knew that and doesn't make this any less embarrassing. A Dream 9 Gardner had Chika Oiki, as I mentioned, a wizard on the mat on his back. Knowing he was done like a Thanksgiving turkey, Gardner decided to wave and scream to the crowd, "Hello, Japan," literally immediately after Oiki locked a vice grip, near-naked choke and tapped Gardner. As a result, not only had he lost the match, he lost his flair for the theatrics as well. Number 13. Fighters crapping themselves Part 1. Back at UFC Fight Night 35, Romero took on Derek Brunson, and at some point during the fight, viewers at home noticed a particular brown spot on his otherwise purple shorts. It appears that in victory, this soldier of God had to celebrate with some soiled shorts. Romero would then claim that it was water, but come on. That answer is full of, well, whatever was on your shorts, and you know it. Number 12. Rocking a speedo. Ever since George St. Pierre, the trend of wearing super tight shorts rather than board shorts. We see nearly every fighter switch over to the style GSP started rocking around UFC 74. Thank the Lord nobody began wearing speedos as Dennis Hallman did in UFC 133. Now, we're all for letting people decide what they want to wear to be comfortable. But hey, for a sport like MMA, nobody wants to be uncomfortable watching you wrestle in speedos. Number 11. Wanderlei Silva loves him some Iceman. Chuck Liddell is a good-looking, rugged man. No homo though, this is straight out of respect. You can definitely see how he could party it up in Las Vegas with various people. However, we don't want to sleep with Chuck. A certain axe murderer does though. Back when Pride was still around, a fight between light heavyweight champions Wanderlei Silva versus Chuck Liddell was being planned out if Liddell could retain his title in the next defense. To hype up the fight at UFC 61, Dana White brought in Silva and Liddell into the cage. However, throughout the course of his speech, Silva mixed up the words fight and Chuck and instead said the F word. Pretty embarrassing and weird all the same time. Number 10. Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's loss to Holly Holm is a giant black mark on her career, apart from the time when she randomly appeared in the Fast and Furious movie franchise and got beaten by a car mechanic girl anyway. While the fight was a whole was a horrible nightmare for Rousey. There was one moment in particular that perfectly encapsulated the entire fight. About 40 seconds into the second round, Rousey lunged for a left hook and home, ducked to her own right side and Rousey dropped to a knee and hit the fence. The Bull and the Matador acted by Holly Holm. Since her loss, however, she lost another fight against Amanda Nunes, and it is unlikely that she'll make a comeback. Number 9. Gray Maynard knocks himself out. You just come off the Ultimate Fighter reality show, and you want to make a good impact in your official UFC debut. The last thing you want to do is make a fool of yourself and knock yourself out. But that's fine, Great Mayonnaise. He does not want any sane advice. After stunning Rob Emerson with a series of punches in their fight at the finale, Maynard picked up Emerson for a double leg takedown, slammed him near through the mat, and forced a tap out due to being injured ribs. He slammed a little too hard because Maynard's head hit the canvas and the blow knocked him out as the opponent tapped. Pretty embarrassing for an accomplished wrestler like Gray, Maynard just said. Number 8. Palhares premature celebration. One of the most embarrassing things men can do in their everyday life is to climax prematurely. It shows a lack of composure, and it ends a beautiful moment before it should end. Well, Rousimar Palhares did the MMA equivalent of that in UFC 134 against Dan Miller. After knocking down Miller with a kick, following up with some good ground and pound, Palhares stopped doing his job. He jumped to celebrate atop of the octagon cage despite referee Herb Dean never stopping the fight. To make it more embarrassing, Palhares has almost gotten knocked out right afterward, but since he recovered and eventually won the fight anyway. This entry would have been on the top of the list had he lost the fight, thanks to his little premature celebration. Number 7. Nevada State Athletic Commission vs. Ice. Few competitors inside the UFC octagon are more difficult to put away than the solid form of dihydrogen monoxide, also known as ice. At UFC 109, in between rounds of the fight between Melvin Gillard and Ronnie Torres, a nefarious bag of ice decided to burst open and spill its contents all over the octagon floor. Try as they might, the Nevada State Athletic Commission couldn't quite defeat the ice. If we can't expect them to follow their own punishment regulations for drug failures, then how can we expect them to clean up ice? Number 6. Harold Howard has a saying. Just like Donald Trump doesn't speak for all Americans, Harold Howard sure as hell doesn't speak for all Canadians. Back in the early, barely legal days of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, not an Ultimate Fighting Challenge, as Howard would state, the company seemed to throw almost anybody into a cage to scrap it out or get thrown to the wolves versus Royce Gracie. Howard tried to give himself a little bit of a self-promotion. We have a saying back home, if you're coming on, then come on. All while, there's a dramatic pause and whipping off sunglasses before the final then come on. As many of you, citizens of the beautiful nation of Canada, can also confirm, there is no such expression in Canada, or even anywhere else in the world. Number 5. Spinning back fail fist. Remember when Chael Sonnen was thought to be the guy who was going to defeat Anderson Silva? After nearly taking the Spider's title before being stopped via triangle armbar, Sonnen and defeated Brian Stann and Michael Bisping to receive a second shot at Silva. Mounting Silva in the first round, it looked entirely possible that Sonnen could do what he did the first time once again. A giant miscalculation came, however, when Sonnen attempted a spinning back fist and instead completely wiped out and fell on his butt. Once down, Silva blasted the sauna with a knee to the body and finished him off shortly thereafter. So close yet so far. Number 4. Self-promotion fail. Some fighters just have their innate ability to grab people's attention wherever they go. Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, Kyle Sonnen. All have shown power over audiences, which draws people to them. Paul Buentello is not one of those people. In an attempt to build a catchphrase for himself, after knocking out Justin Ehlers at UFC 51, Moneteo signaled to the crowd to follow him on his catchphrase. Don't fear me. Waits for the crowd to miss their cue, fear the consequences. Montello asked before that if he had any fans. Well, unfortunately for him, he got his answer. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take me 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal: you just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribes button and hit the notification bell, and you'll get 15 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. Number 3. Kimbo Slice. Kimbo Slice, the biggest example of unwarranted hype in MMA history, never anything more than a sloppy, heavy-handed brawler. Slice still managed to trick a lot of people into thinking he was going to be the next big thing. Well, he was a pretty hard-hitting street fighter. Anyone who had the internet back in the early 2000s has seen a random video of Kimbo Slice roughing up some guy in a street fight. Anyway, thank goodness for Seth Petrozelli shattering that illusion for them. At the Elatex heat, the unknown Petrozelli filled in for an injured Ken Shamrock to fight the touted Slice, and with a single punch knocked down his opponent. A few ground and pound shots later, Petrozelli destroyed Slice's hype and unknowingly dismantled an entire Elite XC promotion. Number 2. Fighters Crapping Themselves Part 2. Tim Sylvia. Yep, just like Joel Romero earlier on the list, Tim Sylvia also cracked his shorts inside the octagon way back at Ultimate Fight Night 3 versus Assyria Silva. Suffering from an illness and, as a result, lacking control of his bowels, Sylvia punched, kicked, and crapped his way to a title shot. Number 1. James Toney's MMA career. In what was clearly the most embarrassing showing by any fighter to enter the UFC octagon, James Toney showed just how desperate some former stars are for some attention and money. After running his mouth on the sport of mixed martial arts and the USC Hall of Famer Randy Couture for months, it was finally time for James Toney to put up or shut up at UFC 118. And what a glorious failure it was. Within 15 seconds, Toney found himself on his back and shortly thereafter found himself mounted by Couture. The natural pounded on Toney's head until he was Bo-Zaxered and decided to end it with an arm triangle to put the boxer out of his misery. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. Hope you enjoyed it, and please stay tuned for some more great content.